welcome back to Nails Before Films. It's your favorite Disgraces Society, and I'm still yapping about horse girls. Today, I'll be reviewing Uma Musume Pretty Derby Road to the Top, a 4-episode mini-series focusing on Narita Top Road. For a free series available on YouTube, it's pretty high quality. Narita Top Road is a very likable protagonist, and the series did a great job showing why she's beloved by many. Although I can't really say the same for some other characters, it is a well-done miniseries. The animation is good, and they were able to tell a compelling story within 4 episodes. Same as last time, instead of telling you why the series is good, I will educate you on the real life of Narita Top Road and how cleverly Uma Musume adapted it. I won't go too deep. Feel free to comment on anything I miss below. Let's get into it. Road to the Top opens with the 1999 Yayoi Show, and our protagonist, Narita Top Road, wins the race, defeating the favorite Admire Vega. Afterward, we see Top Road practicing making small turns. In real life, Top Road had a distinct running style, which is referenced throughout the series. He took long strides and sometimes even looked like he was sliding. Because of this, he shone the most in good condition racetracks that had long straightaways and big turns. However, it also meant that he wasn't as effective on racetracks with sharp turns and short straightaways. We can see this through his record. One of the racetracks known for sharp turns and short straightaways is Nakayama. Top Road raced there 9 times and only won once, which was the 1999 Yayoi Show. The worst results of his career all happened in Nakayama. On the other hand, Tokyo, Hanshin, and Kyoto have longer straightaways, and Top Road had most of his successes there. His only G1 win, the Kikka Sho, was in Kyoto, and on these racetracks, Top Road always finished in the top 5. Here, Top Road says that she wants to win in the Twinkle series to repay her trainer. This is actually a reference to Top Road's Jockey. At the time, he was an unknown jockey in the 5th year of his career, but had fewer than 100 wins. His mentor, who was Top Road's trainer, convinced the owner to let him ride Top Road, who had a real chance of winning in the classics. To entrust a horse with such high potential to an unknown jockey was quite a big risk. As such, the jockey was very grateful for this opportunity and vowed to win to repay his mentor. An interesting thing to note here is that Top Road is the president of her class. This might be a reference to his jockey being one of the superintendents at the Litto Training Center. When Top Road's trainer reminisces about Top Road's childhood, we see her dad. It's very rare for Uma Musume to show the horse girls' dads explicitly, mainly because their real-life dads are obviously horses as well. Some even got adapted into horse girls themselves. Top Road's sire, Soccer Boy, has actually already made an appearance in Cinderella Grey as Dicta Striker, one of the horse girls in Oguri's class. So it is a bit jarring to see him as a human in Road to the Top. As the anime suggests, Soccer Boy was the exact opposite of Top Road personality-wise. Soccer Boy had quite the temper, while Top Road was more obedient. This is why her dad says in the anime her earnest nature is different from his. Next, we learn more about Admire Vega, whom Top Road perceived as her ideal. She mentions that Ayabe is always the favorite in races and won her first graded race without breaking a sweat. In real life, Ayabe had a very impressive pedigree. His sire was the legendary Sunday Silence, and his dam, Vega, was a 2-crown mare who won the Okasho and Oaks in 1993. It's also worth noting that Vega's sire was Tony Bin, another famous stallion in Japan. Tony Bin, alongside Sunday Silence and Brian's Time, were the big 3 stallions of the 90s. Throughout Ayabe's career, he was always the favorite, except for the Japanese Derby and Kyoto Shinbun High, in which he was the second favorite. The graded race that Ayabe won before the Yayoi Show was the Radio Tanpa High, a G3 race. It would later become the Hopeful Stake, a G1 race in 2017. This is where Uma Musume can be inconsistent. Normally, Uma Musume presents races in their current state, which is why the radio Tanpa high is the hopeful stakes in beginning of new era. However, here in Road to the Top, it's an unnamed graded race. I'm not really sure why they didn't go with hopeful stakes, especially since beginning of new era seems like a loose continuation of Road to the Top. Anyway, next up is Taeyam Operao, the future overlord. Contrary to his dominance in 2000, his career had a rocky start. He was injured during his debut race and had to rest for months. He won his first race almost half a year after his debut. Due to his injury and late start, his team decided to aim for the Japanese Derby. As such, they didn't register him in the Satsuki Sho. However, Operao went on to win 2 more races, one of which was the Mainichi High, a G3 race. At this point, Operao qualified for the Satsuki Sho based on his earnings. The only problem was that he wasn't registered. Doesn't this sound familiar? A horse not being able to race because they didn't register? That's right, the same thing happened to Oguri Cap. As I mentioned in my Cinderella Grey video, Oguri's case eventually motivated the JRA to change the rules. In 1992, late registration became possible with a 2 million yen fee, approximately $18,000 at the time, which was pretty expensive. So now, Operao's team had quite the dilemma. The owner was reluctant to race in the Satsuki Sho, but the trainer was confident after Operao's Mainichi High win. To convince the owner, the trainer even offered to pay half of the late registration fee out of his own pocket. We see Oguri encouraging and supporting Operao in the anime, and the 2 horses had some interesting connections in real life. Both of them won the Mainichi High, a race that Oguri says is important to her in the anime. In Oguri's case, defeating Yaeno Muteki in the Mainichi High, who would later win the Satsuki Sho, was the main reason why the racing community pushed for him to participate in the classics. The JRA eventually changed the rules, and Operao had the option to run in the Satsuki Sho after winning the Mainichi High 11 years later. This is why we see Operao in Cinderella Grey during the Japanese Derby discourse. Another interesting trivia is that Oguri's trainer also pushed for Operao to run in the Satsuki Sho. He actually called Operao's ranch and told them his Mainichi High performance was impressive, and the Satsuki Sho should be interesting, implying that they should utilize the late registration rule. Eventually, the owner agreed. Another horse girl who's close with Operao is Mesho Doto, who would become Operao's biggest rival in 2000 and 2001. During Operao's dominance, Doto ran in the same G1 races and got second place every single time. He finally won against Operao in the 2001 Takaratsuka Kinen. Doto was a foreign-born horse and couldn't run in the classics during the time frame of Road to the Top. His record was also less than ideal in 1999, so it was amazing how he would become the Overlord's main competitor, which is also why Operao says in episode 2 that Doto would become a horse girl basking in anticipation and cheers. Anyway, the Satsuki Sho pretty much happened the same way as the anime. Operao stayed in the back for the majority of the race, behind both Top Road and Ayabe. Even when most horses made their moves after the third corner, Operao was still in the back. At this point, the owner thought they'd lost the race. Even the trainer had given up and complained about the jockey, saying, "What is he thinking?" Yet, in the last 100 meters, he caught up with the leading horse and won by a neck length. This was the first G1 win for Operao's owner, trainer, jockey, and birth ranch. Not only that, Operao was the 30th horse to utilize the late registration system, and he was the first to win. Top Road was in third place, which was not surprising, considering that it was a rainy day and Nakayama was not a racetrack where his running style could shine. As for Ayabe, he was sixth despite being the favorite. The anime actually hints at her suboptimal state earlier. During the lunch scene, we see Ayabe only eating an onigiri. In real life, he was in poor condition before the Satsuki Sho and lost 12 kilograms. In episode 2, we see Ayabe taping her left foot. In real life, Ayabe's left front leg was curved inward, something his dam also suffered from. Later, we finally learn who Ayabe's been referring to since episode 1. Turns out, she has a twin sister who was never born. In horse racing, it is very rare to have twins. If there are two fetuses sharing nutrition from the same dam, they will likely turn out to be small and weak. So it's common to abort the weaker fetus as soon as possible. This was what happened with Ayabe, and Uma Musume basically makes it the biggest part of her character. Due to her name being Admire Vega, she feels the closest to her unborn sister during the new moon. Now's a good time to mention why Curren Chan is roommates with Ayabe and cares a lot about her. Both of their dame sires were Tonibin, but more importantly, they both had lost siblings. Ayabe's twin brother was never born, while Curren had a half-brother who died when she was 4. Uma Musume likely pairs them up because one lost a younger brother and one lost an older brother. As for Top Road, she vows to win the Japanese Derby and make her trainer a Derby trainer, which mirrors his jockey in real life, who said that winning the Japanese Derby was the only way he could truly repay his mentor. Top Road was the favorite in the Japanese Derby for a couple of reasons. As mentioned before, his racing style could really shine on the Tokyo racetrack. Coincidentally, the results of his latest 3 races were the exact same as Special Week, who won the Japanese Derby a year before. They both won the Kikka Sho, Yayoi Sho, and got 3rd place in the Satsuki Sho. Ayabe was the second favorite, but his odds were basically the same as Top Road, while Operao was 3rd. Before the race, Operao in front of the gate suddenly burst into a speech. Whenever horse girls do something before going into the gate, it usually means they had trouble getting the horses into the gates in real life, which is what happened with Operao here. As for the race itself, Operao made the first move after the 3rd corner and Top Road followed. Ayabe, on the other hand, stayed in the back and started chasing after the final corner. Top Road finally overtook Operao in the final 200 meters, only to be surpassed by Ayabe before the goal. In real life, the broadcaster did say a first-class shining star when Ayabe won. Just like Top Road in the anime, his jockey did cry after the race. He did all he could and rode Top Road almost perfectly, but Ayabe and his jockey, who became the first jockey to win the Japanese Derby consecutively, turned in a performance beyond perfection. As for Operao, the owner mentioned that he was happy that they won the Satsuki Sho, and he didn't mean to blame the trainer, but it was difficult not to think about the possibility of Operao winning the Japanese Derby if he didn't run in the Satsuki Sho. The next episode is again Uma Musume's signature, the summer camp, where we see the effect of the Japanese Derby on Top Road and Ayabe. I really like how they portray Top Road's mental state. She's disheartened after losing the Japanese Derby and terrified of disappointing the people who support her. Yet, she pretends she's okay and forces herself to keep going. I love that instead of telling her that she'll win next time, the trainer admits that she might lose. But what's important is that Top Road never gives up, and that's the real reason why people cheer her on. In real life, Top Road was a horse that had more losses than wins, but that's exactly why he was beloved. He kept going despite losing most of the time and stayed on the turf after his rivals, Operao and Ayabe, were long gone. He was kind of like Haru Urara, the beloved horse who never won a single race, which might be the reason why Urara shows up a lot. I find this aspect of Top Road's character to be very relatable. After all, most of us fail more often than we succeed. I love how the message isn't keep trying and you'll get it one day, but rather working hard and never giving up is the real talent. People will love and respect you for it. Contrary to Top Road, who overcomes her fear of losing with the help of a trainer, Ayabe feels guilty for enjoying racing, believing that she should only run for her unborn twin. In her dream, her twin tells her that the Kikka Sho would be her last race, which was what happened in real life. After the Kikka Sho, Ayabe spent 8 months in recovery. His team planned for him to return in the fall of 2000, but after his left front leg was diagnosed with desmitis on July 31st, 2000, it was immediately decided to retire him. Anyway, both Top Road and Ayabe ran in the Kyoto Shinbun High before the Kikka Sho, and similar to what happened in the Japanese Derby, Ayabe overtook Top Road and won by a neck length. You might ask, what was Opera doing during this time? Well, he ran in the Kyoto Daishoten against Special Week, a race we saw back in season 1. They both lost that race. Spec got 7th, and Opera got 3rd place. Finally, we are at the last race of the Triple Crown, the Kikka Sho. After winning 2 graded races in a row, Ayabe was the favorite. Opera 2nd and Top Road 3rd. As Rice Shower mentions in the anime, the pace was very slow, partially due to the absence of front-runner horses. Opera and Ayabe both stayed in the back, while Top Road took a front position. After the 4th corner, Top Road took the lead. Ayabe, being the favorite, was blocked for the majority of the race. Around the final corner, he had no choice but to try to catch up from the outside, but he was already far behind at this point and ended up in 6th. As for Opera, he made his move at the final straightaway, which turned out to be too late. In the end, Top Road won by a neck length, and Opera got 2nd place. Same as Top Road in the anime, the jockey raised his left hand after their victory. Lastly, let's talk about what I think of the series as a whole. I think it's pretty awesome. The animation is well done, Top Road's story is very relatable and compelling, and the pacing is just right. I was surprised that there were only 4 episodes, but they made the most out of the limited runtime. My only real complaint is with Ayabe, who's kind of one-dimensional. I feel like they lean way too into the survivor's guilt, and that's basically the only thing Ayabe has going on. I get why she feels bad for enjoying racing when her twin never got the chance, but that doesn't really justify how she's mean to those around her. The anime only shows her being kind in the first episode when she treats Top Road's wound. After that, she's unfriendly to everyone, and it basically bothers me how she treats Curren, who's nothing but caring toward her. It's frustrating how out of the 3 main characters, Ayabe is the only one who comes off as a bit unlikable. But other than that, everything else is great in my opinion, especially for a free series you can watch on YouTube. That's basically my thought on Uma Musume Pretty Derby Road to the Top. Hopefully, my short history lesson on Narita Top Road made you more interested in these horses' real lives. Please give it a try. I've included a link to the series in the description. Hope you guys like my review and nails. I did Narita Top Road, Admire Vega, Teiyam Operao, Mesho Doto, and Curren Chan. Let me know what you'd like to see me do next, maybe season 1 or something else entirely. As always, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, comment, share, do what you want. Keep nailing it, and happy half anniversary, people!